I think we're live now. Good evening, guys. It is first in one of those streams. It's one of those streams, one of those videos where I have to actually make it because I need to just talk. I think I just need to rant. I didn't really rant after the Liverpool game. I know I had that video I made on what really happened in the Liverpool game, but I focused mainly on the Liverpool game. I want to try and have a more generalized conversation. If you're a Real Madrid fan and you're watching this, or you're a general football fan, you don't have to be a Real Madrid fan. If you're a general football fan, in the chat, in the comment section, please let me know what you think about this topic, especially if you're a Real Madrid fan. I want to get opinions from Real Madrid fan. I know this is not a Madrid fan channel. I try to make this a more general fan content channel for football. But I do want to hear from Real Madrid fans because this is a video for, focusing on Real Madrid, talking about, basically titled, Let's Talk About Real Madrid, because I think, people are going to probably say this is probably, people are, or Madrid fans are overreacting for a draw against Vallecano. But I've said this multiple times. It's not the result that annoys Real Madrid fans, especially Real Madrid fans. It's the performance. The result doesn't really matter. We can lose games, and if we have good results in those games, it doesn't really matter if we lose games or not. We've lost some games where we've come up for those games and said, you know what, it's one of those days where you come up against a team that is pretty good, and you've played well, and the team has just found a way to keep you quiet. Definitely. But the performances after the Barcelona game, which is very annoying. It's very annoying that these performances have come after that brilliant performance in the Barcelona game. And I said this. I literally said this before that Barcelona game. I did a video on, this is the most pointless El Clasico in a very long time. And in that video, I talked about the fact that Real Madrid have not been performing this season. They have been scraping results. We found a way, thankfully, we found a way to win the games that we've won. But Champions League matches, La Liga matches, I feel like unless we're coming up against a team that is really bad, we have been scraping results. And going into that El Clasico, I thought that if we were able to, given the circumstances of the El Clasico, the hype around the El Clasico, the noise around the El Clasico, I thought that if Real Madrid were able to get a positive result in the El Clasico, again, if you're watching this and you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this content, if you're a Real Madrid fan, if you are a general football fan and you enjoyed this content, please let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what you think in the live chat, because I want to get conversation. And I want us to have a conversation on, as I said, this is not I want to talk about Real Madrid. This is let us talk about Real Madrid, because I want to hear what other people are thinking. I want to hear what other people are saying in relation to this topic, because I think there are some topics to be discussed. And I think there are some Real Madrid fans on Twitter, I've seen them on Twitter, that want to make it look like Real Madrid fans are, kind of over exaggerating results. We're expecting a lot more. This is Real Madrid. This is not Manchester United. No disrespect to Manchester United, but this is not the current Manchester United at the moment. We should not be accepting mediocre performances. We should be expecting the best. We have some of the best players in the world at Real Madrid. From Mbappe all the way to Thibaut Courtois, we have some of the best and some of the most exciting players in the world of football. So it's not, crazy to say that you expect these players to be putting in world-class performances game in, game out. The Real Madrid team that won 3 in a row, they were putting in game-in performances, world-class performances, game in, game out. Every single day they went onto the pitch, they were playing absolutely brilliantly. So I don't think it's far-fetched to say that I expect Real Madrid players with the quality. If we didn't have quality players, I'd kind of understand that, what, Real Madrid maybe at the moment, we don't have the quality players and we don't have the quality to be putting in 10 out of 10 performances. But we do. We have a World Cup winner on our team. We have multiple Champions League winners in our team. We have players that have been put in Ballon d'Or conversations severally in our team. And you're looking at my face and telling me that Real Madrid fans are overreacting when they're not able to beat Rayo Vallecano, when they're not able to beat a Liverpool team that's not playing well. Look at how Manchester City found it easy against Liverpool. I said this in the Liverpool Madrid match reaction. I don't think Liverpool were that good. I think Real Madrid were so bad that they made Liverpool look good. So, onto the conversation. As I said, if you guys have any questions, you have any conversations, you have any input you want to include in this live chat, or you want to include in this live stream, let me know. Put it in the live chat. We'll definitely get onto that. But I want to list some things off before we get into any like major or real conversations in the chat. But I definitely do want to hear from you guys. I think, as I said earlier, Real Madrid fans are not pissed off because we're drawing or dropping points to Vallecano. I think Real Madrid fans are annoyed because the performances we are seeing is absolutely, it's frustrating, because as a Real Madrid fan, you watch Real Madrid play and it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's just frustrating because, again, I watched Sunderland play against Arsenal, and obviously I'm not trying to say Arsenal or Sunderland are on the level of Real Madrid, but you can see what they're trying to do. You can see a performance that, even though they dropped, they drew against Arsenal, the fans look at that and say, you know what, in the future, if they come up against teams, I said this in the match reaction as well, if Sunderland came up against other teams yesterday in the Premier League, they probably would have gotten 3 points based on how well they played. So it's a performance where Sunderland fans can take from that positives, in the sense that, they look forward onto their next games and think, you know what, if we can play like this in the next game, we probably get a better result. But that's not the same. That's not the same with Real Madrid. It's different from one game to another, where we are not creating solid chances. And I know people are going to say, oh, you haven't been creating chances, but Mbappe is scoring goals. We scored 8 penalties. We have scored 8 penalties this season. I don't think we have created chances where you can look at it and say, you know what, the goalkeeper made a really good save. Look at Liverpool. Look at the amount of good saves Thibaut Courtois had to make. How many Thibaut Courtois are in the world? That's what I'm trying to say. We should be creating these chances that, only a goalkeeper of Thibaut Courtois' level is going to be able to save. That's what I want to see. I want to watch a game and see at least 2 or 3 chances where I look at it and say, you know what, we didn't score this because the goalkeeper made a really good save, or it hit the bar, or it hit the post. That's what I want to be seeing. I want to be seeing Real Madrid creating chances, and, I look at that and say, this was a gilt-edged opportunity. But I don't look at that. When I watch Real Madrid play, most of the shots are outside the box. They're from speculative distances, and you can't build anything from that. You can't build anything when all your forwards are on the left wing. I thought it was going to stop. Under Carlo Ancelotti. After Carlo Ancelotti went. I thought we were going to stop this, players packing themselves like sardines on the left wing. I don't know why that's the situation. I don't know why that's still happening under Xabi Alonso. Is Xabi Alonso telling Mbappe to play on the left wing? And if he's not telling Mbappe to play on the left wing, why is Mbappe going on to the left wing? Can he not tell Mbappe to move on, stay at the center position and not move on to the left wing? It's a lot of questions. And I keep, last season was atrocious. Last season was horrible. We got humbled everywhere we went. We, played badly. Performances were bad. But we looked at it and said, you know what? Last season of Carlo Ancelotti, he doesn't really have a system. Hopefully next season we're going to move on to a manager that has a system. We move on to Xabi Alonso that clearly has a system. He comes into the team. He tries the system. It doesn't necessarily work in the first games, but you can slowly see what he's trying to build. as the season goes by, we aren't even halfway through the season, and I'm starting to see some patterns that I was seeing under Carlo Ancelotti. Now, I have a question I want to ask. Why are players being played out of position? I don't know why Arda Güler has been playing at 10 since the season started, and for some reason, he is now playing at 8. If someone can provide the answer to that, I would like to know why we're now playing players out of position. Why we're now looking at players like Valverde as a right back. I thought Trent was back from injury. You know, again, I'm not trying to say maybe Trent should have started, but what I'm trying to say is, why is Trent on the bench for as long as he is? He should have been coming on for Valverde. Isn't Trent going to be part of our future? Valverde is not a right back. Valverde is more of a right winger than he is a right back. Why is Camavinga still playing as a right winger? Why is a center mid / CDM playing as a right winger? Why is Brahim Diaz playing? Has Brahim Diaz shown anything to warrant his starting in the team? I have so many questions from the strike all the way to the defense. Why is Houghton started because I think Militao is injured. Understandable. Now back to the Liverpool game. Why did Houghton start over Asensio? Why did Houghton start over Asensio? He has shown that in big games he does have a little bit of nerve, in terms of shakiness when it comes to defending in big games. He has showed that. Why did he start over Asensio? Because I think Asensio came in today. He played well. So it's just so much is going wrong, and I don't seem to see what the solution is. Now, I hope I am very, very wrong. I hope so. I really do hope that I am very wrong when it comes to my assessment with Real Madrid, and this is just a blip in the road and we're going to fix things. But I look at last season and I look at this season and I'm starting to see patterns. Substitutions are not being made. Players are on the bench that the fans want, to be brought on. And obviously, the manager shouldn't be bringing players on because the fans want him to bring them on. But you should be making changes when players on the field aren't, performing to their max ability. Kylian Mbappe. We're going to move to Kylian Mbappe now. He's a topic I want to spend a good amount of time on. This is going to be, I don't know how long the stream is, but I'm going to try and keep it maybe 30 minutes. I don't know. We'll see as the stream goes. Kylian Mbappe, I've said this a couple of times. Kylian Mbappe is not a number 9. Kylian Mbappe is a good forward, just like Ronaldo was. He's obviously not on the level of Cristiano Ronaldo, but just like Ronaldo was when he came to Real Madrid, he is a splendid forward. I'm not going to argue that with anyone. Kylian Mbappe is a splendid forward. We need to make use of him. He is 26, 27. He's going to get to an age where his pace is not going to, he's not going to have his pace forever. He's not going to have his pace forever. We need to make use of Kylian Mbappe now. He's a forward, and we need to make use of the fact that Mbappe is a forward. Give me a second here. I'm trying to realize I think there's something wrong here. Give me a second. Second here. So I have to make sure. Okay. All right. I just wanted to confirm something. I don't know why this is happening now that I'm talking. I'm in a flow here, and I'm being disrupted off the flow. Okay. Okay. All right. I've got this fixed now. Stream was thought I was gonna lose the streaming. Yes, sorry about that. Sorry about the whole silence and everything. I was trying to just get things sorted out because I really want to just get back on track here. All right. So as I was saying, Kylian Mbappe is a forward. Kylian Mbappe is probably one of the best forwards we have in football at the moment. And I'm not trying to say that he is a bad forward, with this conversation that I'm trying to have here. What I'm trying to say is he's not a number 9. He's not a player that's going to stand in the box. If I don't know if any of you tuned in for the Bologna versus Napoli game. In the Bologna versus Napoli game, Rasmus Højlund stands on the edge of the edge of the 18-yard box, basically back to the defender Lukumi, and he is constantly pushing that defensive line back. Although to a very bad effect, he does it badly. But when you have a striker that can push that defensive line back, that can give the defenders something to worry about, what that does is it opens the game up for players like Vinicius, for players like Bellingham, because now the defender can't just focus on that striker. The defender has to come and, account for Vinicius. The defender has to come in and account for Bellingham. But when you have a striker that's moving from right wing to left wing to strike to center attacking mid, just like we saw against Liverpool, Konate and Virgil van Dijk are going to have an easy game. They're going to have an easy game because there's no one pushing them. Again, today, Erling Haaland, he is right on the ass of Virgil van Dijk and Konate. His movements in the box means that they can't take their eye off him for a single moment. And you know what that does? That opens up an opportunity for Nico Gonzalez to get on the edge of the box and score a goal. That opens up an opportunity for Jeremy Doku to be on the edge of the box. And keep in mind, they can't commit players to attack Jeremy Doku on the edge of the box because Erling Haaland is there. If Jeremy Doku finds Erling Haaland and they've committed players to, mark Jeremy Doku, Erling Haaland becomes free. So what an actual number 9 does is not only does he create a goal scoring opportunity with his movements in the box, is he moves players out of the way with his movements in the box. If you have a striker that has a good movement in the box, keep in mind all these things I'm saying are in the box. In the box. This is something that Real Madrid have lacked since the season started. In the box. All the things we've been doing are outside the box. Mbappe, edge of the box. There was a situation in the match against Vallecano. I think Brahim Diaz goes to the right wing, tries to put a cross into the box. There is no one. When I say there is no Real Madrid player in that box. No Bellingham. I don't blame him because he's a midfielder. He's going to have to make that run to the box. No Mbappe, no Vinicius. So Brahim Diaz has to go back and pass the ball back. And that's what I'm trying to say. We are creating chances, but we have the players. We have the players to create the chances. But when there's no one in the box, how do you expect us to create these chances? There have been so many, I've seen so many scenarios of Real Madrid, counter-attacking opportunities where players go to the edge of the box on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, looking for players to pass, literally looking for players to pass onto the box, pass to get something get on the end of in the box. I'm trying to get my words together. Sorry about that. And unfortunately, there's no one in the box. Mbappe is on the edge of the 18-yard box. Vinicius is on the left wing. I don't blame Vinicius because he's a left winger. I don't blame Bellingham because he's a center mid. You can't always expect Bellingham to get on the edge, on the end of crosses in the box to make late runs into the box because now teams are wise to that. It's not like his first season when teams didn't really expect him to be making these late runs into the box and doing what he did. It's not like last season. Now teams are wise to that. They know he can do that. So they're not just going to watch Bellingham make a late run into the box. We need a presence. We need someone who's going to stand in that box, cause an issue for the defense. That was Bellingham, his debut season. Bellingham did that in his debut season. And I don't know if you guys haven't noticed, Real Madrid don't play without a striker. Real Madrid do not play and succeed without a striker. I don't think we've ever had an era without an actual competent striker. And Bellingham, his debut season, was basically a competent striker. Basically, that's what Bellingham was. And it's weird to see that now we have a player that's supposed to be the striker. Again, if Mbappe is supposed to be our striker, I think Alonso has a lot of work cut out for him in terms of telling Mbappe what to do and how to do it well. Because I think you might be thinking Mbappe has scored goals, but the goals that Mbappe has scored have come from penalties. Some of them have come from really, really good, good goals. He has scored some good goals this season, but none of them look like a striker's goal. If you go back and watch the goals Mbappe has scored this season, none of them, absolutely none of them, look like a striker's goal. They look like a forward's goal. They look like a goal a winger would score. They look like a goal a right winger would score, a left winger would score, an attacking midfielder would score. They look like a forward's goal, not a striker's goal. You look at the goal Erling Haaland scored today. It looked like a striker's goal. You look at the goal Erling Haaland has scored most of the time this season. They look like strikers' goals. They don't look like goals that are going to be scored by left wingers or right wingers. I think we need to see a game with a striker. And we've seen that. The funny thing is, we've actually seen how Real Madrid play with an actual striker under Xabi Alonso. Gonzalo Garcia in the Club World Cup. When Vinicius was injured and Mbappe was playing off the left, we saw Gonzalo Garcia play in the Club World Cup as a striker, and his movement was spectacular. As to why we're not seeing that again this season, your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. Now, I think even with Mbappe, I don't know if I can say this rightly, but I think there's an over-reliance on Mbappe. I think there's an over-reliance on Mbappe. We need to find a way to score goals regardless or despite of Mbappe. We need to find a way to consistently put the ball in the back of the net regardless of Mbappe. Because at the moment, if we come up against a team that has a solid defense that's not going to have that high line, because apart from Barcelona, no team is stupid enough to give Mbappe a yard of space to run onto. No team is stupid enough, apart from Barcelona, to give Mbappe that space to run in behind. Everyone knows how quick Mbappe is. Everyone knows. So no one is going to give him that space. So when we come up against a team that has competent defenders and a system that's not going to allow, Mbappe to get that space in behind, he's useless. He's useless because he's not a left wing. He's not going to be a left winger in the team because Vinicius is there. So he can't take players on the left wing and cut in on the right wing and take a shot because Vinicius is there. So he has to move away from the striker position and move on to the left wing or the right wing. But with someone like Haaland doesn't need a yard of space. If you give him a yard of space, he's going to punish you, but he doesn't necessarily need a yard of space to hurt you. That's what I need. That's what I want from a striker on Real Madrid. I want a striker that can hurt a team regardless of the openings you give him. He needs to be more threatening. Mbappe needs to be more threatening. He needs to be able to, we need to be able to come up against the team where they look at Mbappe and say, you know what, even if we don't give him a yard of space, he's still going to be dangerous in the box. He's still going to be dangerous in the box. And we need that. We definitely need that. I think it's crazy. We're not creating chances, but I don't even blame. The funny thing is, I don't even blame the fact that we're not creating clear-cut chances. There's no one in the box to create those chances for. I feel like I'm going crazy here. We're not creating chances, granted, but there's no one in the box for us to create these chances for. You can't create chances to ghost players. You can't create chances when there's no one in the box. And there's literally always consistently no one in the box. I don't know why that's the case. I really don't know why that's the case. I want to talk about the El Clasico. I think the El Clasico is it's a case study of a team, picking the games they want to play well in. The El Clasico had a lot of, conversation about it. The scenarios with the Lamine Yamal saying what he said. There were a lot of things being talked about in the El Clasico, and obviously the players, as they should, they took that game seriously and played some of the best football I think we've seen Real Madrid play this season. Granted, now as to why we played well in that El Clasico and never played well again since then, apart from Valencia, and I don't even add Valencia because Valencia have been absolute ass this season. We played well in the El Clasico, went away to Liverpool, and away to Vallecano, and we've not been able to score any goals in 2 games. We haven't scored any goals in 2 games. That's not the standard of Real Madrid. So my question now is, do we now have players who are picking and choosing the games that they're going to play well in? Do we now have players that are going to decide, you know what, when I get a little bit of criticism here, or I get a little bit of criticism there, I'm going to play well in the next game? Are those the type of players we have? Because I remember when Vinicius didn't play well in the Osasuna match, he got benched in the Oviedo match, and he came off the bench in the Oviedo match and played well. Ever since then, apart from the Barcelona game, I haven't seen the best of Vinicius. Apart from the Barcelona game, I have not seen the best of Vinicius. So my question again is, do we now have a set of players that pick the games that they want to play well in? And, they're like, oh, these games, I've played well now. I've gotten the support back from the fans, and I'm not going to play well. I don't think Bellingham is part of that conversation, because Bellingham, apart from the Atletico game, ever since he came into the team, he's been playing well. Today, he played well, And another thing I want to hit on is, why are we now a team that is inconsistent? There is a difference between dropping points or losing a game when the opposing team plays well. If Liverpool played really well against us and we lost, I take that. And if we played well, so what I'm trying to say is, if we played well against Liverpool and we lost, I'd say, you know what, Liverpool played well. It was a 50-50 game, and then Liverpool won. I'll take that. I'll take that. In the other games that we've dropped points in, if we played well in those games and we lost or we dropped points, I'll say, you know what? We've come up against a team today that's on their day, and unfortunately for us, we weren't able to do that. In the past, we came up against teams like that. In the past, we came up against teams where you'd look at and say, you know what? This team was on its day. It was very difficult to beat them. I'll take that. But at the moment, we are unable to consistently play well. We play well sometimes. As I said, El Clasico, we play well in the El Clasico, and then we go on to drop a bad performance in 2 crucial games. This game against Vallecano was crucial. The reason why this game against Vallecano was crucial was because they held Barcelona to a draw as well. They held Barcelona to a draw as well. So if we could have gotten 3 points against Vallecano, it's not an easy place to go to. I am very aware of that. It's not an easy place to go to. But 3 points against Vallecano today was very important, because they held Barcelona to a draw. They held Barcelona to a draw. So we should have been able to get something past Vallecano. We have the quality. That's what hurts. We have the quality, and we're not able to get that performance. We're not able to get that performance. Let me get into some of your conversations in the live chat before I get on to some of my closing points, because I am approaching the end here. 30 minutes gone on the conversation here, but let's get on to some of the comments. Derek in chat is saying everyone's saying Madrid have lost Modric and Cruz. They've lost creativity. I disagree. The midfield isn't failing. Sorry, the midfield isn't failing. It's evolving. Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Bellingham are athletic monsters. I agree with that. But athleticism doesn't win trophies. Being the better athlete doesn't make you the better player. Again, this is not me trying to say Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Bellingham are bad midfielders, or they only have athleticism. But I don't think the midfield is a problem. I think you've hit on a good point, Derek. But I don't think the midfield is the issue, because Arda Güler, for some reason, is now being played as an 8. When Güler was being played as a 10, he was playing well. So I don't think we've had any issue with the midfield. I would say maybe, if you're going to use the point of lack of creativity, I don't think it's a lack of creativity. That's the problem. Güler is our most creative player this season. He's still playing. He's not injured. Güler is not injured. He is still playing this season. And he's been our most creative player. But the problem now is Güler is being playing at 8. Bellingham, okay? Bellingham is a creative player. No problem about that. But you can't create chances for non-existent players. You cannot create chances for players that are not in position. If you pass the ball to the left wing, it's more difficult to create chances from the left wing than it is through the center. And I think Bellingham is a creative, maybe not as creative as Arda Güler. Is a conversation for another time. But I think Bellingham is a creative. But when there's no one to create the chances, it's difficult. And even with Güler playing as 8, he's still being our most creative player. He's not an 8. Arda Güler is not a number 8, but he's still being our most creative player, even though he is playing out of position. But the problem is you cannot create for players that are not in position or are non-existent in dangerous positions. The only way a chance is created is when you create them in dangerous position. You cannot create a chance and a player shoots from 30 yards. It's not a chance. It's not a chance created. A chance created is basically passing the ball to someone in a dangerous position where they have a high chance of scoring or a high XG of scoring. So I think the midfield, great problem with the creativity. I don't think we've lost creativity. I think the people who are supposed to be making use of the creativity we're affording them, they're not in the positions where we want them to be. FGH on Güler, he's a talented young attacking midfielder / winger, but I feel Real Madrid have been playing him out of position. Out of his best position sometimes. Again, start of the season, Real Madrid played Güler at number 10, and he was providing the assist for Mbappe. He was providing the assist for Mbappe. He was doing very well for Mbappe. Now Bellingham is in the team, and he has been relegated to number 8. Play the two of them at 10. Brahim Diaz on the right wing. I don't know why. Man, my head hurts. My head absolutely hurts thinking about this. Why is Brahim Diaz playing as a right winger? A right winger / attacking midfielder. Why is that the case? Why is Güler not doing that? Why is Brahim Diaz playing as an attacking midfielder / right winger when we have an attacking midfielder / right winger who is leading the assist charts for us this season? You might think Güler is not a right winger. He can't play there. He plays there in Turkey. My God. Oh, God. My head hurts. Real Madrid, man. I don't understand. Someone is probably going to say Arda Güler is not a right winger, hence why Brahim Diaz plays at right wing. Arda Güler plays right wing in Turkey. Arda Güler doesn't bench Çalhanoğlu at attacking midfield in Turkey. He plays right wing. And when he plays that right wing, guess what? He's going to be on his left foot so he can create chances regardless. He can create, oh my God. I just thought about this now and it hurts because the fact that this is a simple solution to a problem that shouldn't even be a problem. A midfield three of Bellingham, Valverde, Chouameni, or Camavinga, who else? Doesn't matter. Trent Alexander-Arnold, right back. Put Arda Güler on the right wing. Vinicius, Mbappe, Arda Güler. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I genuinely would not have a problem with that. Because guess what? When Brahim Diaz is on the right wing, he cuts into play attacking mid. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as Güler playing attacking mid. Just what is Brahim Diaz bringing to the team? He's a good player, but from the bench. Brahim Diaz has never been good to start. The last time Brahim Diaz was good to start was in the season we won the Champions League. Since then, he has never been really good to start. Why is he starting? Why is Brahim Diaz starting? Why is Camavinga playing on right wing when we have an actual right winger in the team? My goodness. Khalid Bain. I'm going to calm down. Let me calm down. Khalid Bain. The execution isn't consistent. Let's talk about chance creation. Madrid look at times that they rely on Mbappe to finish whatever scraps are offered rather than the team creating for him. Khalid Bain, I think you've missed the point entirely here. I think you've missed the point entirely here. I don't think Real Madrid are not creating chances. Arda Güler, even Arda Güler at 8, he's creating chances. Bellingham, he's creating chances. But the problem is, Mbappe is here, there, and everywhere on the pitch. He's Mr. Roam about, roaming everywhere, from left wing to striker to right wing. It's very difficult to create chances for a player that's not in a static position. Because you need to know where every player is on the pitch. You need to have a visual representation in your mind of where players are on the pitch, especially if you're a creative midfielder. You need to know where everyone is. So if you look up expecting Mbappe to be there and he's on the left wing or he's on the right wing, you're kind of confused. You're going to pass the ball to Mbappe. And as I said, we have created chances, but those chances have been from 20 yards, 30 yards, 25 yards, distances that is very difficult to score from. We hardly create chances where you look at it and say, this should have been a tap-in. You know, this was a really, 1.0 XG chance created in the box. And the reason why we don't create those chances in the box is there is no one in the box. There is no one in the box to get on the end of these chances. So it's not a matter of Madrid are not creating chances. It's a matter of there is no one in the box to finish these chances. So those chances are not being created. If we had Erling Haaland in the box, I guarantee you we wouldn't have the conversation of Real Madrid are not creating chances, because we are creating chances. But the chances we are creating are not good enough. And the reason they're not good enough is we don't have the opportunity to create a chance for a player in the box because there's no player in the box. It's kind of like a domino effect. It's kind of like a domino effect. We don't create chances because we don't have the opportunity to create chances for players that are in the box. And the reason we don't have the opportunity to create chances for players in the box is there are no players in the box. There are legitimately no players in the box for us to create these chances for. That's my issue. That's my issue. I think Gonzalo Garcia, Mbappe on the right, Vinicius on the left. Gonzalo Garcia, Mbappe on the left, Arda Güler on the right. Gonzalo Garcia, I mean, I don't even know. So many other, combinations. Just have a striker. Gonzalo Garcia is a striker. I feel like we're shoehorning Mbappe into this team. I'm not blaming Mbappe for any of this. I don't blame him. He's not a striker. Can I blame Kylian Mbappe for not playing as a striker when the boy isn't a striker? The man isn't a striker. You can't blame, it's kind of like blaming Vinicius Jr. for not playing well when he's being put as an attacking midfielder. Vinicius Jr. is not an attacking midfielder. So I can't blame Mbappe for playing at strike and not playing well because he's not a striker. He's not a striker. So I can't blame him. Who's putting him at strike? It's kind of like Ruben Amorim and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United, he's not a midfielder. But Ruben Amorim keeps putting him in the midfield. So you can't blame Bruno Fernandes for not playing well in the midfield when he's not a midfielder. He's not a midfielder. He doesn't pick the team. I don't think Bruno Fernandes goes into the dressing room and tells Ruben Amorim, play me in midfield, even though I'm not a midfielder. Ruben Amorim wants to play him in the midfield, regardless of his, what's the word I'm looking for? Ability to play in that position or not. Mbappe, he's not a striker, but for some reason, we're shoehorning him to play at strike. If we have to play Vinicius in the team, play Mbappe off the right. Play Vinicius off the left and put a goddamn striker up top. Jeez, for 2 seasons now, we haven't had a focal point in attack. We haven't had a man who can stand in the box and wait for crosses to come into the box and attack said crosses. We put crosses into the box and there's no one there. There's no one there. Like Roma versus Napoli. If you watch that watch along, there's no one there. Only guys who watch the watch along will understand what I'm trying to say when I say there's no one there in Roma versus Napoli. We put crosses into the box and there's no one there. We need someone to be there. If we're putting crosses into the box and Mbappe is not getting on the end of them, then we have an issue. But he's not in the box. And you don't blame him. He has played how many years of his career as a left winger, as a sole left winger. And for 2 seasons now, he has been finding a way. I mean, again, props to Kylian Mbappe. He's a splendid forward. How he has managed to score the amount of goals he has scored in a position that he has never played in his career is outstanding. People are probably going to say, oh, he played that position when he was at PSG. Cap. Big cap. You have any more caps you want to say? You have any more caps in your wardrobe? Mbappe at PSG played off the right. When Neymar was in the team, Mbappe played off the right and they had a striker. When Neymar left, guess what? Mbappe went to the left. Like, it's so weird. It really is so weird how we're shoehorning a player. Again, as I've said, Mbappe is a forward. He can play at strike, not to the efficiency of someone like Erling Haaland. You cannot play Mbappe as a number 9 for the full 90 minutes. It's not going to work. And this is why, you look back at PSG and look at it and think, maybe this is why Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi, maybe this is why it didn't work. Has anyone ever thought of that? Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi, maybe this is why it didn't work. Because for some reason, the PSG coach wanted to play Mbappe at strike. Maybe this is why it didn't work. Maybe Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, maybe that trio of Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi, maybe they didn't work because Mbappe wasn't a striker. I'm really asking if anyone has thought about that. Because I'm looking at Mbappe now. He's not a striker. When he was in PSG, obviously I'm not watching every PSG game. But now that he's in Real Madrid, I'm watching every Real Madrid game. He's not a striker. And it's not just this season. From last season, Mbappe doesn't look like a focal number 9. He doesn't look like an Erling Haaland. He doesn't look like a Harry Kane. He doesn't look like which other strikers are there? Ekitike would slap in this Real Madrid team. He is a striker. Alexander Isak of last season would have been amazing in this Real Madrid team. Not because, I want a new player, but Mbappe is not a striker. I wish we could tattoo that, write that, put that on a shirt and just distribute it out to people. I really wish we could do that because I'm looking at things and it's so strange. It really is. It really is so strange. 44 minutes gone. I feel bad for Gonzalo Garcia. I feel bad for Endrick. These are strikers. These are not, left wingers or right wingers. These are strikers. And if Mbappe isn't playing well as a striker, the manager should have the boldness to say, Mbappe, you know what? I gotta have to take you off. You're not a striker. I don't know what the future is going to be for Real Madrid. I don't know what the squad is going to look like next season. I mean, Vinicius is looking like he's going to leave. He hasn't signed a new contract. It's looking like Vinicius is going to leave. It's looking like a whole lot is happening. I want to see something different. This full video, this 40 plus minutes of me talking is not just trying to, beat players with a stick of we're not playing well. I'm not trying to say Alonso is not a good manager or Mbappe is not a good player or we don't have good players. I just want to see a performance. I want to see a performance where I can look at and say, you know what? Even if we drop points or even if we lose, we played well. We deserve to get something, but unfortunately we weren't able to get it. I that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see from my team, Real Madrid, and I'm hoping we're going to see it. And I think it's going to start once we get balance. Balance is very important. I remember doing the Bologna versus Napoli game. I think it was FGH that actually asked the question of, is team chemistry more important than individual performances? And the answer is yes. Team chemistry is very important. And you know what starts team chemistry? Team balance. Players playing in the positions where they can perform in. That's what starts, that's what forms team chemistry. Team balance. Left wingers playing at left wing. Strikers playing at strike. Right wingers playing at right wing. Attacking midfielders playing at attacking midfield. Center midfielders playing at center midfield. DMs playing at DMs. Center backs playing at center backs. Right backs playing at right backs. That is what leads to chemistry. Even when you play FC 26, 25, Ultimate Team, when you play Ultimate Team and you put players out of position, your chemistry tanks. Even in games, they let you know that when you play players out of position, their chemistry is going to tank. It's going to tank because they're not built for that position. Balance. Balance is what we need. And once we have balance, I think Real Madrid are so good that we don't need a system. I know Xabi Alonso is a manager that has a system, but I think Real Madrid are so good that they don't need a system. They just need balance. Look at the team that won the Champions League, Bellingham's debut season. There was no system. All we had was balance. Players playing in the position that they're supposed to play in. And we had balance. Look at Ancelotti's team, the Benzema Ballon d'Or season. Balanced. There was balance everywhere. Players were playing in positions where they're supposed to play. Obviously, if there are injuries, no problem about that, playing players out of positions. But when everyone is fit, when everyone is on the field, when players are available, you do not play an attacking mid at number 8. You play an attacking mid at attacking mid. Because as I said, even in games, even in FC 26, it shows you that when you play players out of position, your team chemistry suffers. Your team chemistry suffers. So I think the main takeaway from this video, this long-winded rant of Real Madrid and the position that we find ourselves in, is we need to start seeing a balance. We need to start seeing a team and a performance that we can look at and say, you know what, going into the next game, if we can play like this, just like against Barcelona, I think we need to go back and look at that Barcelona game and pick up from there, because if we play like that against any team, we can do great things. I really do think so. We can do great things if we play like that against every single team this season. But yeah, there's a lot of concern. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about. I have enjoyed the conversations, but yeah, you guys can continue the conversations in the comment section. Definitely, I want to hear what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling about the current situation of Real Madrid, and what you think the problem is. Again, this is not me putting blame on a particular person, maybe thinking I'm putting the blame on Alonso or Mbappe or anyone else. No, that's not the case. I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is, what the problem is. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I have enjoyed the conversation. I think I needed this rant. I needed this rant to just get things off my chest, to just listen to what you guys also have to say in the comment section, in the live chat, and also in the comment section. I have enjoyed all the conversation, and yeah, I appreciate all the support so far. I mean, the live stream on the watch along for the Bologna Napoli was very, very interesting. And I think I've just uploaded a match reaction as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there. And yeah.